Hey everyone, welcome to the show. We are all here tonight. We are just not all present in the same room. Right now with me is Dylan, and Cicely will be down in a moment. She's probably wiping shit off the baby's ass. That's the honesty. That's the truth of GameMarx. They're not sugarcoating it. That's what's happening right now. Topic this week. Actual development topic this week. You know, I hate the damn little comments we get every now and then of like, hey, you guys talked about game development. You should do that more often. And it's like, fuck you. Just really. Like it's always somebody who just tuned in, you know, and they're like, oh, you know, because they'll like comment like on the episode prior, there'll be a comment like, hey, I just found that you guys are pretty good. Yeah. The next thing they're like, oh, that was a really good talk that you guys did on the Mono Myth or whatever. You guys should do more, you know, development talks. Well, fuck you, man. We're like over 100 podcasts now. The reason we quit doing reviewing is because we talk development.
But then we started doing Kickstarters and ranting about the news and et cetera, so, you know.
Anyway, we're going to talk about MDA. If you saw the extra credits episode this week,
yes,
they briefly touched on it, and they referenced that it comes from this paper. MDA, a formal approach to game design and game research. I downloaded the paper and realized, like, oh, it's 5 pages long. So I read that, underlined it, made notes. We'll get to that in a little bit. You been playing anything recently, Dylan?
Not really. I've been kind of picking at the X-Spriter project.
Oh yeah? How's that going?
I've tried 2 approaches. The first approach was to read in all the keyframes and do tweening in code, or at runtime, which, you know, and then I converted that to actually render out all the frames, so there's less work at runtime, because later versions are going to support different types of tweening, and we ran into this when I was looking at building like game storyboard designer for cutscenes. I've got it working, asterisk. Like, it will display some frames, but if I actually start playing the animation, the angles and pivots seem to be wrong, and I'm using the default animation, so it's hard to tell, or the sample hero animation, so it's hard to tell exactly.
Maybe the origin points. You probably got to pull out the origins and map those appropriately.
I've got that, like, that's happening. I think the problem lies in the fact that they're using, like, their y-axis is up is positive instead of negative. So I have to flip that around. I have to kind of recalculate origin points for everything. You know, I have to actually grab the textures and figure out what the height and width is to recalculate that. Angles are in degrees, so I have to convert those to radians after doing all the tweening and everything. Plus, I think they may use the opposite direction, like positive may be counterclockwise for them, whereas it's negative.
Okay.
I can't remember. So, somewhere in all of that mess...
right, you got a mistake. And
I just have to dig down and like pick out one frame and completely analyze it. But it's...
Now, so what I would say, too, is to do all the converting to the XNA style in the importer, so that in the instance comes by where, let's say, you're not going to use the rendering that you've put in the library...
Yeah.
You don't have to know all this stupid shit, right? Like, it's just straight ahead.
I've ended up moving everything back there. Yeah. I'm kind of afraid that...
I mean, you may have to, like, you know, do some trial and error before you can work that back, but...
Yeah. I'm afraid that may be... Like, some of my issues may be in that... I don't know at this point. I've been kind of, like, I've had a lot of deadlines going on at work, so I've just been picking at it. I haven't just, like, sat down for an entire evening and just focused.
I've been touching a little bit on People Jump, which is what I'm going to call the platformer. And at the point where I'm ready to sit down and formalize the game, basically say, like, all right, this is what it's going to be. this is the, the progression.
These
this is
are the
going to be the
features.
goals. This will be the features. Going to keep it real small. Because, I just want to get it out and ship it. And the point of the game was to burn in and test, Xtiled. So making sure that, that's working right and drive some features in that. And, so I've been working on like little base mechanics here and there that I know I'll need, like collectibles, updating the HUD when you collect something and that. So I'm doing that, but it's really at the point where I kind of sit down at it and I'm not sure what to do. And that's because I really haven't mapped out, like, okay, we got all the basics in place. So we got to figure out, like, what am I going to have to write? But, I got it set up to where, like, yeah, I can, I'm going to go in and implement, a rideable, monster, a rideable enemy that you can just stand on top of and ride along with. It's kind of a moving platform variation. But, I'm really happy with the way I got it laid out, the way I've got it divided up. This whole inversion thing where, it's the, object's responsibility to put the world in the proper state after it moves or it changes the world in any way.
Yeah.
It's really making it easy to come in and just say, okay, I'm going to call an update on all these items. And, the stars will just say like, hey, is the player, colliding with me? Oh, he is. Well, I need to disappear now and I need to let the HUD know to draw, add another star or whatever,
So everything has to know about the player, so you don't have to go, when you add a new type of object, you don't have to go back in and figure out what else touches that type of object. You just...
Right. And then, there's also a list of all the objects in the game. I don't know that I'm going to allow, objects to collide with other objects and have that do anything meaningful.
Well, it sounds like you're building a game, not an engine.
Right.
Like that's...
And, so I'm gonna just go ahead and skip that bit, but I could do that just as well. I could just have a list of, hey, if you do something, here's a list of things you might have to check. It's in this array. And, here's an interface that they all map to. So I'm pretty happy with that. Playing, though, this weekend, the, game I've been playing is, what's it called? Clash of Clans. So this is, last week we talked about, I think we mentioned on the podcast, I don't remember, the company that was talking about, like, over in Switzerland, like, making $500
I remember
$500 million, or $500,000 a day. $500,000, $500,000 a day. Yeah, we mentioned that or something like that. So this is like their number one game, Clash of Clans, on iOS. So I download it. It is the fucking worst example of free to play. Like, it is everything bad and wrong about free to play.
Broken or scummy?
Scummy.
Okay.
Like,
So it's
Tiny
like,
Tower
it's pay to win, not...
It's pay to play.
And you know what's funny, though? If you go back to our last episode, we're probably all, they either they magically hit on the right formula or they know what they're doing, and now it's just like, no, they're kind of,
I want you to know, Dylan, that your sultry tones have put a baby to sleep on the other end of the podcast. A guy said that his baby was liking the show and intrigued by that and really likes your speaking, and now she's fallen asleep. So, you have that power, Dylan.
Or I'm just boring.
Use it wisely. I didn't say you weren't. I just said you had the power to put children to sleep. If you want to read into that, anything else, go ahead.
It's a skill. Take it as a compliment.
So anyway, alright, so I download the game. You launch the game. It has an insanely long tutorial. Okay? It's not a very complex game. It's a very bad tutorial. Alright? But, just like all these others, it's like they start you out with a bunch of speed gems. Okay?
You should have to pay to make the tutorial go away. That would be...
You start with a bunch of the speed gems.
If we're being
everything
evil...
up gems so you can get to the tutorial faster, because if they actually made you play the real game at the rate of the tutorial, you would never get out of the tutorial before you gave it up. So they're like, you need to... So basically the game is sort of a turn-based strategy. It's kind of a RTS, asynchronous RTS. And it has a really good, some ideas in it. Like, after playing this game for a while, I'm tempted to just clone the game and de-Zynga it and put it back out there because it'd be a really fucking awesome game. And, I would have given them $5 and bought some of their speed-up gems. Just like on Heroes Academy, after a while I went, yeah, here's some money, dude. Like, this is awesome. Same with Jetpack Joyride. Here's some money. I'm going to buy some shit.
Yeah,
I don't want the
Hero
shit. I don't need the
Academy,
shit.
Jetpack Joyride, even things like Draw Something, you're not paying to remove that pain point of time.
Right.
And that, it sounds like
you are and Draw Something now. Zynga bought it, and I think they all, I don't know. So anyway, okay, so get to the tutorial, and basically what you do is you got your town, okay? And then you could raid these little AI towns in the beginning, or other players, it sounds like, at some point. I haven't gone online. I haven't done that yet. And then, so you build up these troops, and then, like real-time strategy, you can deploy them, but then they're on autopilot, okay? Which is really kind of frustrating a little bit, but it does add some strategy to the game to not just deploy all your troops at once. Because what'll happen is you'll deploy all your guys, and they'll attack the cannon that's attacking them back. And they'll take out that cannon, and then they'll start shooting the first building next to them. And then they'll start shooting the next building, but they walk into range of a new cannon.
And they won't stop.
They won't stop to attack that cannon, and they will take every building out on the way to the cannon, and of course they won't make it, and you'll lose all your guys.
And you can't change, like, their AI. You can't say, like...
Once you've placed them, they are set to do their thing. But the different classes that you get are pre-programmed to go after different kinds of things.
Oh, okay.
So as you teched up a little bit, one guy I got is, he prefers to go after defenses. So in that situation, if a cannon is nearby, he's going to go after it over everything else. There's another guy that'll go after resources. So when you raid, you're getting resources for the resources you claim. You'll get 3 stars. There's like an achievement system. So like as you level this up to level 5 or build this building or all that, you're getting these stars which award you some of these time coins. So I dove into this like I would an RTS. To me, the number one rule of the RTS, the number one out the gate thing that you should do is build a strong economy. Right?
Yeah.
And plus, because I know it's a time-based play game, I'm kind of like, alright, so while I've got some of these free gems left over from the start here, let me use all that to build up a strong base economy. Because there's 3 currencies in the game. There's the speed gems, okay? That's what you buy. You can only get those through cash. I'll come back to that in a second. There's coins, there's gold, basically, and there's like some kind of mana, right? And things either cost mana or they cost coin, right? Troops cost a bit of mana to create the troops. Some buildings cost mana to upgrade. Some buildings cost coin to upgrade. So the
speed gems, it's not preventing you from taking another action unless you wait. Is that what I'm to understand here? Or...
Well, the speed gems are like when you say build a building or train a troop.
Okay, I see what you're saying.
A timer pops up and say, oh, it's going to take 30 seconds to build this troop. Right?
Okay.
Usually to fill up all my troops takes 8 minutes. And in that 8 minutes I can do other stuff. It's not that bad.
Is it just annoying, or is it ever game-breaking? Because I imagine if you can't get troops out fast...
Well, yeah, let me get there.
Okay.
So, I decided to use all my speed-up gems to build a strong economy. So I'm dropping down a gold mine. Let's drop 3 gold mines down. Let's upgrade them. And now, of course, you drop a new gold mine. It's like, hey, I'm going to take 30 minutes to build this gold mine, or upgrade it. I'm like, no, here, have a few gems, because, I got a bunch to start with. And let's just speed that up so that I get my economy to the point where I'm getting a lot of income of gold and mana, right? And that's coming in at a healthy clip. And then I run out of the golden mana. I run out of the speed gems. I've kind of burned through them all. I did some raiding while this was going on as well. And that's kind of a good thing, because there is like I said, there's at the lower level, and while I was speeding things up, it seemed okay in that the time it took my troops to build, I would do some city management, and then I would, when you raid another city, you go to their map. You completely leave your map and you go to another map. And then any troop that you deploy is no longer, even if they live, you don't get them back. So there is kind of a game of like, if you had some really expensive units, of whether you want to roll them out or not. You might be tempted to hold them back.
It's kind of like your last resort.
It's a last resort, because he's going to take a long time to rebuild or something, that guy, and you just want to, get a couple plays in. But I guess that keeps it simple. I got back. I've got tons of gold. I've got tons of mana, and I got one guy building something, another guy building something, and then as these guys are building stuff, it's like, oh wait, okay, I need to upgrade. This might actually be the second day that I play it or something. I need to upgrade my main tower to my main castle, my main thing here, level 2, and it costs a ton of gold. And it was like, I think they make you upgrade it once in the tutorial, but this is the first upgrade outside the tutorial. Click to update that. So this is the first major update to my castle, or going from like small hut to big hut. 1 day clock timer.
No.
Not shitting you.
Wow.
I haven't even been playing the game for a day, and I've already hit a clock timer of a day.
No.
And then I put another guy on like, okay, well, we need to build a second field or something to store your... So when you build the troops, when you train the troops, they have to go sit somewhere. And the amount of troops you can have is dictated on how many places they have to sit. So I'm like, okay, let's go build another sitting zone. And that's like 8 hours. And at this point, because my economy is strong, I fucking have money. I have overflowing money. I have more money than I can hold. Even after spending all this money and upgrading everything.
So it makes it really tempting.
I can't spend it. I only have 2 builders. And they're both committed. So I got all this fucking money. Let's go get a builder.
Is it like...
builder, hold on.
Okay.
A builder, a guy that allows you to build or upgrade something. You have to dedicate a builder to build or upgrade something, okay? You don't do any town management without a builder. He can only be purchased with speed-up gems, which can only be acquired by money. It is the only item in the game that works that way. All the rest can be bought, you just gotta wait your time. You can't buy these. And then I'm like, okay, well... That's kind of dickish. How many of these guys can I have? Okay, I have a total of 5. Well, I got 2. I can have a total of 5. How much does he cost each? 500 gems. Okay, how much does it cost to get 500 gems? Something like 500 gems is going back to the 99-cent price, right? I'm getting ready to like, here's $3. I'll get my 3 guys and I'll press on. The game seems interesting. No, 500 gems is $5.
Wow.
To get all these guys would be $15.
Not as dickish as I had feared, but still.
No, that's epic dickish.
Yeah,
that's game breaking. That's because if I don't pay $5 right now, there's nothing I can do in this game for 8 hours.
I wonder, how are they getting people over that hump of, like, I'll lay down $5 on this game? Because it seems like once you get someone to pay $5 on the game, they're going to be more likely to spend more money because they've already invested in it, but getting that first $5 is...
Well, I mean, just the fact that $5 is the cheapest gem buy. Like, there's not a 99-cent... is so insanely overpriced.
What I'm wondering...
And then I started realizing there's other bullshit in this game, because I figured, alright, well, I'm going to keep playing this, because I want to see if I tech up my main hut. Will that give me some gems? Right? Is there points in the game? Because as you do those achievements, okay, as you unlock those, as it's like, get this to level 5, your reward is like 5 gems. Now I'm looking down all the rewards and things on that, on the achievement list, they're all like 5 and 10. I need 500. That's gonna take fucking forever, okay? But I'm thinking like, when I upgrade my main castle, maybe I'll get some more gems. Okay? I did also find, like, those rocks and stuff on the ground, so you can't place your buildings and such on rocks. You have to clear them out. And those cost resources, and they take a builder to clear. Sometimes under a rock you find a gem or 2. So far, that's the only way I found in-game to get a gem. You don't seem to get gems from taking out towns. I haven't gotten any gems. I've just gotten other resources from taking out towns. I don't know about the multiplayer. Now, so, in my town can be raided right now. Like, I just went off the clock. There's like a 3-day clock when you start. You can't be attacked. And so I didn't go into multiplayer or mess with that, because I still haven't really figured out a good strategy, or dealing with the different types of defenses and things like that. So, today, what I've been doing is putting all my money into, town defenses, because I knew my shield's gonna go up. And I don't want to be rolled, because at this point, like, if I didn't have good shield, if I didn't have good defenses up and you rolled me, and that represents, like, oh, fuck, well, I've spent all my gems from my startup. Oh, and the other thing you can't do. So when I realized, oh shit, I shouldn't have used all these speed up gems on this other shit, like Tiny Tower, right? Like, I'm not even gonna do the tutorial because I have other plans for these guys, so I'm gonna save my tokens for the playstyle. You can't restart. No reset.
So what happens if your town gets raided and destroyed?
I have no idea. That'll be the next thing I'll find out. At this point, I'm kind of like invested in it, so I don't want to find out like you just get this limp dick of a town left over, you know, that you can't do anything.
And
with.
it's not like a StarCraft or an Age of Empires where, no, if you get destroyed, the best thing to do is go run off somewhere else and build your secret base, and like
SimCity the after years.
But there's other dickish things in the game too that really just fucking piss me off. Like they're really. So I figure like, okay, well, I don't have to log into this thing. I'll just sit here, mash shit that's down to gold, and then I'll log in and I'll play for 10 to 15 minutes every couple days, right? You have storage bins for the mana for the gold. You have mines for the mana for the gold.
Yeah.
The mine can hold 1,000 gold. My storage bins hold 15,000 each. I can store 38,000 worth of gold on my map, but about 1,000 or so at a mine. Once a mine hits 1,000, it stops mining. There's no little worker bees who carry the gold from the mine to the storage bins. You have to log in and tap that shit manually. So they fucked you over from basically saying what I said of like, all right, well, let's log in once a day.
They make you log in.
Because you won't get any money, because we will hard cap this shit.
It seems like it's just engineered to jerk you around. And the multiplayer is probably, I would imagine, what's driving this, because it seems like you can kind of buy a better army, or,
that's
you can buy agility.
That's kind of why I'm still sticking it to play out. One, I want to know if there's like any potential of a winning gems in multiplayer combat.
Yeah.
Like, you can just win multiplayer combat, you can earn some gems that way. Then I'll feel better about it, okay? I also want to see that, hey, when I raid an AI town, I take their resources. Every arrow I shoot into their gold stores gives me gold, and their gold stores go down. I want to know if that happens to actual other players, when that could actually represent real-ass fucking money. Because, of course, you can buy more money, you can buy gems and convert the gems to money. I want to know what it looks like when my town gets attacked. Do I, after the battle, get reset back to where I was beforehand? And it's like, oh, well, let me change my defenses. Or do I have to live with, that limp dick of a town that I get left with? So I kind of want to really curious to find that out, to find out how far it goes. The game's insanely popular, though. It is it was not far down the... I didn't go search for Clash of Clans.
Yeah.
I couldn't remember what it was called, so I just started scrolling down the top apps, and there it was.
Well, that might, and since it's got the multiplayer, that might explain why the early times, you get the 3 days where you can't be attacked. It takes a day to build stuff. That may be an issue of game balance, sort of like, just because of how obsessively people play these games. Sort of like, WoW,
So far it looks like I'm not being attacked.
It takes forever to grind in WoW because they have to satisfy the people who are going to spend hours and hours a day playing.
So I don't know. That's what I played, and it is everything that is horrible and nasty about free to play to the extreme. I mean, it really. I felt Tiny Tower was less of a blatant.
The sad thing is, what they're doing, and you do it anyway. Just like, man, I gotta have another hit. That's what I keep coming back to with Facebook games and casual games. The more I hear about them,
Stage posted. It's number 3 top grossing, and then that's also kind of the disgusting part too. Of this is accepted, This is acceptable.
I don't know. I think, like I said, I think a lot of these casual games, mobile games, Facebook games, are kind of a commodity where people will just I don't care, I gotta have more. I gotta have something.
Until we have the blue meth, We're all just going to have whatever is available.
It's sad in that, like, it's not a rewarding experience. And one thing that holds me off from buying the gems is $5 of gems, 500 gems is not fucking much. Like, it's gone in an instant, you know?
Yeah.
Like, it's
addictive
horrible.
plus expensive equals top grossing. Possibly. Not saying
it's
that's...
like, you know, I could see, like, okay, if I worked it out. Like, the gems and how much the gems speed things up, they're valuing the time at 3 cents a minute. 3 cents a minute is what you pay in the game. You know, so every minute you want to play is 3 cents, basically. You know, if you want to speed something up, it's costing 3 cents a minute. That seems to be pretty consistent for all the, hey, you want to make this happen immediately? And that works out, yeah, and that's crazy. That is a crazy high figure, you know? I mean...
It's like $60 an
500
hour?
gems should be 99 cents. And then I'll give you $3, and then, you know, I'll have all my guys. And then if I want to speed up, you know, development, you know, I can go give you a couple more bucks or two. But just to start out at $5, you know, and then... Oh, I don't know. It's disgusting. News items this week. The big story, and by the big story I just mean a bunch of people tweeting about it, is the Surface tablets pre-orders, $500, no keyboard, 32 gigabytes. By the way, do you know that the operating system in Office will take up 12 gigabytes of your 32 gigabyte
I did
system?
hear that, yes.
Yes, that's why there's no 16 gigabyte, because it would be 4 usable. iPad, iOS, and iWork take up 2 gigabytes. I don't know what the hell Microsoft's doing in those extra 10, but they're not running macros because the Office on Surface can't run macros. I know that's a pretty big complaint of, like, basically, yeah, all your Excel spreadsheets, they're not going to run because you probably use a macro, and, you know, anybody into Excel that would want Excel on a tablet that wouldn't be satisfied with just any spreadsheet app or Google Docs, like, it has to be Excel. It's probably because they have macros.
I wonder if you're paying the tax for, you know, the complexity of trying to have, you know, one OS for tablet and desktop when, you know, Android and iOS are built specifically for mobile.
Now, because of next week, it's going to be the launch. I felt I should go on record with my thoughts as the Windows Store is the worst possible thing. Did you read this? Did
Yes.
you read my? Okay, it's quite long. If you said no, I wouldn't be offended.
No, I read it.
And so I felt like I should go online before it ships and a whole bunch of, you know, like, I should put, you know,
Make the
this is what I think,
predictions and-
make my predictions, how I feel about it. And, you know, honestly, a lot of the issues that get the UI and all of that, I think are minor compared to the catastrophe of the Windows Store. I think
Yeah.
if Apple has shown us anything, developers and users will accept a lot of shit if they're enjoying it, if they like it, and the developers, if there's money to be made. You know, at this point, Apple has paid $5 billion in royalties through the App Store. You know what? Objective-C. You know, it's not a thing anymore. You know, go down that route. And in the article, I basically highlight all the things I've said in the podcast. You know, it's like Microsoft plays games with partners. You know, they have special APIs for achievements and leaderboards, and that's just not on Google or Apple.
Yeah.
EA and we may not have the same resources, but when it comes to the App Store, we are equal. It is equal footing for all.
And the funny thing is, all the difficulties, like you're talking about, like you know, Objective-C and Java, even there's Mono Touch and Mono Droid, and you know, like there are industries built around getting around.
And they've
that.
been open to do that.
You can't get around a bad store.
The new store will allow Unity and Unreal. They're going to be allowed to open that up a little bit. Also for the Windows Phone. I discussed a little bit in the article too, in the post. The the fragmentation.
Yeah.
The fact that Windows Phone 8 is not Windows RT, is not Windows 8, is not, like, just the insanity of it all, and for it all to be from Microsoft, but also the fragmentation from the developer side of, you've got 3 different payment provider, you got 3 different forms to fill out, and different ways of getting, some want different tax forms, and, like the phone, I haven't done much on the store, but, like the phone's got that whole, like, GeoTrust certification process and certificate thing that's not on Xbox Live Indie games, and certification processes are different across all of them, rules are different across all of them. It's just fucking ridiculous, It's like Microsoft should get its own house in order, and also they should pay developers in local currency, too, and cut the whole foreign bullshit out. Nobody else is doing that but Microsoft. There shouldn't be a matrix of what stores are available in what regions, It's like, come on, get this shit together. Consumers expect, if you buy an iPhone app, it to run on the iPad.
Yeah.
They are okay with iPad apps not being on the phone. I don't know that in practice there's a lot of them, but they are marked clearly in the store as an iPad-only app.
Well, I know.
But you can easily make a single distribution, a single binary that runs great in both and adapts its UI to either.
Not just that, like, there are apps I've bought for my phone or for my tablet that work on the other one, and because I've bought them in one place, I can use them in the other. Right.
Consumers are not going to grok or understand why, when they buy Windows Phone apps, they don't run on Surface, and vice versa. They're going to expect tablet apps to run on the desktop.
I've heard
that seems to be the thing, and I think there's cases where that's not going to be possible. I also touched on, like the whole DirectX not being there. It's an incomplete. It's a promise of parity between C#, C++, and JavaScript, but it's incomplete. It's not the same thing. Yeah. I don't know. If you got any more comments to it, I'll link to the article. You can read it in depth, but it's nothing we haven't said a lot on this podcast.
From what I've seen, I can't remember who I saw say this, but one of the other confusing things for consumers is the difference between Windows 8 and Windows RT. And that was the thing that was a little bit disheartening to me when I saw the release of the Surface. Was when I first heard about Surface, I thought, yeah, I might get one of those, but I would get, the higher end version, which they haven't released a price for, they haven't released a date for.
Yeah.
I don't want to buy something that's essentially going to be crippled. Yeah, it's smaller.
Given the price points and what they did on this tablet, you could well be looking at a very close to $1,000 for the Intel Pro tablet that's going to run the Intel apps. And that's insane.
But that's what I want to know what price that is before I, make a decision.
Smilertune mentions in there, I thought Windows Phone 8 apps ran on Surface. No, because Surface is WinRT based and does not support Silverlight and XNA. Windows Phone 8 is still going to be Silverlight and XNA. They're not making the WinRT shift yet. So there's a whole nother cycle of the phone with basically, DOA. Like, anything you buy on this is not going to work in the future. I know why they did it, because they weren't willing to, they took them a fucking year to get to 100,000 apps, and the last thing they probably want to do is hit the reset button on that. And everybody who bought a Windows Phone realized, oh yeah, all your apps will not go up in the new version.
The problem is,
but they're just putting this problem off.
Early on, they made the choice to try to centralize, desktop, tablet, and phone, and now, they've basically decided that they want to lose phone. In making that decision, you're pretty much saying, we're going to gamble on tablet and lose phone.
So I think they're going to lose both.
Probably.
The phone market share is down to 3.7 from the latest ComScore. To put that in comparison, Windows Phone 6.5, right? When it was still Windows Mobile, and before it was Windows Phone, Windows Mobile 6.5 had 10% market share. So they've gone from 10% market share down to 3.7% market share. I think BlackBerry finally fell past them
Yeah.
And I mean fell past them. I don't mean they achieved over BlackBerry. Like, they're both falling. So I don't see anything happening on the phone front that's going to reverse this trend. I really don't. I don't see. And I don't see anything coming out of Surface that's really going to grab consumers. And you know what? Next week, the iPad Mini is supposed to be announced. That's what the rumors are pointing to.
Which is still bullshit to me.
Why?
Why? You just don't think they need to have a Mini? The Google Nexus and the Kindle have been tearing it up, and they're basically minis.
Which is actually interesting, because I thought one of the big deals with Apple was they weren't going to fragment that much. And now it's like, well, we kind of need to do what everyone else is doing.
Well, that was bullshit when they said it, because they started making 50 bajillion types of iPods.
Well, Steve Jobs said that a 7-inch form factor.
Yeah.
I think that's especially what he said. So I expect there to be some kind of, like, but it's not a 7-inch form factor BS or something around that.
Like they're scaling up and down or something?
Well, it'll be that, but it won't, like, I don't know. I don't know what they're going to come. That's what the rumors point to. We'll find out Tuesday what that is. Whatever they announce Tuesday pretty much is going to erase all collective memory of Surface.
Yeah.
Like, Surface had its week, and now it's gone. The tech loyalists jumped in. They've pre-ordered theirs. They'll get theirs, but I don't see it as a consumer successful device. Happy to be wrong. That was the end of my article. I'm happy for the market to prove me wrong. I would love for there to be a more competitive tablet landscape. I would love for Kindle and Amazon to get their shit together and make the Kindle Fire decent.
Yeah.
I would love for Android tablets to actually ship with the latest Android OS. Like, every time you read about the next Android tablet, it's running like Ice Cream Sandwich, and you're like, what the fuck, guys? Like, that's 3 generations old, you know? So I would like it to be, and then, I would like to get, a more competitive landscape, because, Apple has its bullshit as well. Yeah. And the way that you change the Apple bullshit is you take market share from them. And then, kind of like they have to respect the 7-inch tablet now, they're going to have to respect, market changes. And they will. They will not, dickishly lose their place in the market, but they won't do it voluntarily. They won't change voluntarily.
Well, it's kind of like what we've said about the Xbox Live Indie Games marketplace. Like, it's never going to... Microsoft is never going to support that just out of the goodness of its heart. It's going to take someone else getting into that space, and, Yeah. I completely agree. What I would like to see out of the Surface tablet, and maybe this is just me, with my bias against Windows 8, is they realize that, like the whole lower end thing, no one cares, and they actually have to start, like putting more emphasis on that Windows 8.
That's funny too, because like their phone strategy, they've publicly announced several times, has been, we're going after the lower end. So it's like, we're going after people who still carry feature phones. Like, that's the route we're going to take. And then you launch a $500 tablet.
Not getting it.
Yeah, it's like, you're at the price of an iPad, and you're $100 cheaper than the iPad with the same amount of memory. But given the whole, like, we're going to take up 12 gigabytes of space, I don't even know that that's true anymore.
I'm saying I'd like to see them go higher end and, like, Android tablets and iPads are great, but, like, you can actually do more stuff.
I think the whole keyboard thing, and I didn't get into this in my article, I think the whole keyboard thing is a gimmick that's not going to work. I think that's for people, like me at one point, who wanted the Droid because I thought I needed a physical touchscreen keyboard, or a physical keyboard. Like, the touchscreen was dumb. I could never use that. I need a physical keyboard. And that's why I got that Droid. And then I found after a time, I quit using the physical keyboard in the Droid, even though it's just a quick slide out, and I just use the touchscreen keyboard for most things, and I don't miss it at all, and I'm fine with my, so, like, I don't see, plus, to have that keyboard, like, you'd have to have, like, a table and a stand to set it up in.
That I'm not sure
That's not really going to work either. And, something that's nice and fits in my lap, that size, 11-inch MacBook Air, just fucking saying. Like, that's fine. Like, if that's what you really need. You need a heavy note-taking device, 11-inch MacBook Air.
I don't know. I like the concept of the keyboard, but I don't know if it will work.
And then they didn't ship the keyboard with the low-end model. Like, it didn't.
Yeah.
They should have had keyboards coming with them all if that was their big selling point.
Yeah.
But now that they don't have it, I don't understand that logic. And I also don't think they get the market. If they think that's going to be a differentiator,
I think it actually, if they had shipped it with every model, I think it could have been, like, it could have set them apart. Like, well, it's like the Samsung commercials. Like, when are we going to be able to do that?
yeah, we're going to go bump our phones.
Yeah, okay. That's a stupid, that particular commercial is stupid because obviously, like, that's a proprietary, But,
Hey,
yeah.
you know what I did, Dylan?
What?
I shared a playlist with you. Because I'm on fucking Rdio, alright? Like,
Yes.
you don't have to bump. We have no physical contact required.
I don't even have a RDO account.
Well, when you do get one, my playlist will be shared with you.
Okay, is that free?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, you can go get Rdio for free.
Then I will get an RDO account.
Now,
yes.
what you can't do for free is stream it to your phone.
Oh.
That's $10 a month. Free on the web page streaming. Has a limited number of hours per month. Well, I was using it at work and didn't really bump into that limit. It's a pretty decent chunk of music you can listen to. For $5, split the difference. You can remove the limit, but not get the mobile streaming.
Yeah,
But for $10 a month, play anything you want, as much as you want. That's what I did on Zoom Pass.
I don't trust mobile streaming at this point, just because, it can be spotty.
Well, you pay for a month and then you just don't pay the next month.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, I can, the way I look at it, I can put an SD card in and...
You're Verizon, aren't you?
Yes.
I have pretty decent coverage all over. There's a few spots where I don't so it's real convenient. The reason I like RDO over Spotify is its interface is a lot better, I think. One is you can add albums to your collection. You don't have to build a playlist for everything. That fucking annoyed the shit out of me. And Spotify looks like a bad iTunes ripoff.
Yes, and it is confusing. I'll tell you what turned me off of it. I installed it on my new computer. I was like, yeah, I'll use this as my music app now because I can, switch
Spotify
between
or RDO?
Spotify. And I opened it up, and for some reason there was some MP3 I had, the first MP3 I picked from my local collection, it would not play, and I'm like, done with this.
Fuck you.
Guess I won't be listening to other people's
the RDO
playlists.
app, so it has much better UI and interface on there. It's a click once app, so it self-updates. It's kind of nice.
Yeah.
But from within the app, every album has you click on it, you can add to your collection, put it to a playlist. You can make playlists and things like that to organize if you want. But it also has sync to mobile. So just from the web, I could be sync that album to mobile. And then, it'll sync to my mobile devices. I don't have to plug in, use a cord, go from a phone and say download
this. Does it
this.
stream or does it actually start downloading when you click sync?
I think the iPhone, I don't know about Android.
Okay.
I think the iPhone does not allow apps to start a Wi-Fi connection without launching the app. So
Right.
I think what I have to do is say sync, and then I have to launch the app, and then the app would start grabbing and doing its update. Because I know Dropbox says hey, I can't upload your photos unless you open me. So I think there's something on that. On Android, they may be able to just do a background sync.
I bet they could, because I know I've had that.
Which would be awesome.
Yeah.
Which would be really cool.
You can go to the Google Play Store and say, yes, install this, and then, it'll pop right up on your phone, which is...
I don't want to... Okay, that's not
Anyway.
the music apps. Xbox, updated. I haven't gotten it yet, but you were in the beta, so you
Yes.
kind of know what it's like. I just saw an article here that they cut Twitter and Facebook.
That's probably a good call, but they're adding Internet Explorer, so what's the point anyway?
Yeah. It's
You've got your...
You got IE, so you can go to Twitter if you want. They're really slowly rolling this one out. I don't know why. Usually all the rest they roll out within a week. And this one they're we're going to roll out over the next month. And I'm like, are you fucking kidding me? I'm going to wait a month to get this update? So I haven't gotten the update. I haven't played with it. I've heard that indie games have a decent positioning now.
Yes, if you go in Marketplace, you get featured on-demand arcade indie along the top. It's exactly what like if they'd have done this, a year and a half ago when it was such a huge, contention, like that's exactly what we needed then. It's just sad to see it now after everyone.
Now, Stegs mentioned in chat if Indy is better placed, why is its sales low? And that I've heard that other places as well. For one thing, the Avatar games don't have a section anymore, right?
I don't know.
Like
I
if you
haven't
go into
dug into it that
Avatar
much.
Marketplace, you don't see Avatar games.
I think there's like an extras tab. Like there's not an Avatar tab. It's all like all that stuff is kind of stuck off on another tab.
So I don't know if that's the impact. There's also been rumors that you may not be able to purchase. Like there might be some bugs in order and checkout.
Yeah.
There's a thread on the XNA forums if you have like some data. If you've got like, here's the actual sales data, here's what I can show you, post in that thread. Because basically the MVPs came in and said, hey, we got anecdotal evidence. We got a day's worth of data. And also, not everybody's gotten the update yet. A lot of people have not. So, to blame it on the update, there may be something else wrong. But to blame it on the update may be a little premature. So he's like, if we run this up now, they'll just ignore it because it's way too early, and then they won't look at it when they do. So it's like, let's get some data on this. Let's get some more.
I think it also depends, I think, on how well they curate that page, because they do have a large block where they show a particular game, like box art. For a while it was Cthulhu Saves the World. Now it's like shooting chickens or something.
Well, those are always based on your own profile. So those are based on like what you've purchased and what you play.
Okay.
So we see that stuff a lot more than the average gamer might.
And then they have recommendations as well.
But another thing here is that possibility, maybe not such a sharp drastic change, but the Xbox 360 revenue dropped by $400 million for the quarter, I believe. That is for a quarter. In its latest quarterly report, Microsoft showed that operating income for its entertainment and devices division, which is the Xbox 360, Skype, and the phone, fell by 94%, down to $19 million from $340 million. So this is becoming an issue, I think, for them. I think this is finally, like, catching up. I think it took a while for it to work itself out, but I think with that last dashboard update, so much advertisement and all the denials of hacking going on and not responding to that, people were opting out of renewing from their accounts. And it's going to take a while for that to take an effect, but I think we're seeing the effect now over the last year of people going, fuck this, I'm not renewing gold. I don't play this anymore. Yeah. And once you kind of opt out of gold, you're not really jumping in anymore online. The Xbox, you just kind of move away.
And you're right about all the ads. Like, when I first saw the new dashboard, I was just surprised how obvious, with all the issues, not just with indie games, but just how goofy everything was. I was surprised how obvious this layout was. Like, why didn't they do this in the first place? Well, yeah.
But they launched you, from what I understand, so you can pin things now?
Yes.
Can you pin indie games?
I believe, yes, because I pinned Xbox Live, Xbox Connect.
Oh,
or XNA Connect.
That'd be fucking awesome just in and of itself, man.
Yeah.
Because I've got like a shit ton of indie games from when we did all the reviews and stuff on my console, and I got a page forever to fucking launch the XNA Connect.
Yeah, but I know I've pinned Hulu and Netflix, and I think you can pretty much pin anything.
They don't launch you into your pinned list. They launch you into the ad screen.
It's kind of a mess, but then as bulky as the UI is, and they have all these large elements on screen, I kind of see why they do it, but it's still more convenient than what it was.
So that's Microsoft. Do you know that Ubisoft sued the Black Eyed Peas for $1 million?
Wait, what?
Why?
Apparently Ubisoft got exclusive rights to make a video game, based on the Black Eyed Peas, or using the Black Eyed Peas, or something with the Black Eyed Peas for iOS. And essentially, like, I guess the Black Eyed Peas had, like, veto power over, like, how their images were used or something, and it basically, like, vetoed absolutely everything for, like, months, and now they're, like, not 4 or 5 months or something, like, way past when they wanted to ship the game, and now they're like, fuck it, we're suing.
Using celebrities in video games just sound like
it's likely
badly.
that this would have been an iOS port of Just Dance.
And that's probably why they were like, fuck you!
So I don't know that we've lost anything.
I don't know how that would work.
I don't
I don't either, and
But
they're probably like, we're better off just getting sued by
A
you.
game where you actually have to dance.
Marvelous launched an indie developer support program. MarvDev, to help developers with game running. So basically, Marvelous AQL Europe. I guess these guys do something over in Asia. They're I don't know if they're a developer or a publisher in Asia, but they basically say that, hey, over there, the stickiness is a lot higher to free-to-play games than in the States. People play free-to-play for a while, then they give up and they move on to something else. And they're like, we think, there's some universal things that gamers can do and all that. So they're basically saying, like, hey, we're starting a partnership program, and we will help with funding, game design, operations, and marketing, of specifically a free-to-play indie title.
Like freemium.
Yeah.
Okay.
So maybe they could fucking make Clash of Clans worth playing.
Yet another Dragonvale clone.
But it is limited to that, but it could be interesting, I guess, if you're in that market, if that's something that you're working on or trying to do, to contact and all of that, these guys and see if they're willing to work with you or help with you. And I think it's a kind of a sign of the pressure of the digital distribution market is going to force publishing to change. And maybe the old guys, the EAs and the Activisions won't, but new guys will happily step in and say, like, hey, we offer these services, indie developers, we will provide these services to you, instead of the other, like, submit your game idea and we will judge whether or not you are worthy of dollars, it's...
Well, given the fact that many indie publishers can just put their game out online, by themselves.
Speaking of publishers, developer, there's a great article I will link to on Giant Bomb on Mark of the Ninja and how they pitched it to Microsoft, and some videos of the pitch video and then the first prototype. So what's cool is playing the pitch video here. Is that this looks really cool. The pitch video looks very polished, really cool, visually stunning. It's got these things going on. I'm like, man, I wish it actually looked like that. I don't know if you've seen Mark of the Ninja.
I have not.
It doesn't look like this, but it plays a lot like you see. And they they show this great art and all that. The entire pitch video is a flash animation. It is static. There is no gameplay. But this is kind of what's done in the world of publishing. So this is what you would submit. It's kind of interesting because it's an eye-opener into, like, there's no gameplay here. We just kind of submit this what it looks like. And this is what they base the decision to fund the game on or not. And then you can see the first prototype. And what I found hilarious in the first prototype is all these big pasted words there, and the sound effects are awesome. They're just hilariously cheesy stand-in sound effects. And I mean, like the guards are, and also like some debugging sound effects for the guards, because the guards are saying, like, I'm looking around. I see someone. I don't see anyone. I'm patrolling. Like they're verbalizing, which I thought was a really cool, like, way to help you debug your AI,
Yeah.
But it's kind of hilarious to watch and hear him say that. Because there is, like, an attempt by whoever did it to make it voice acting a guard. Like, it's not just a guy going like
That was the guy
pathfinding.
doing the Russian accent.
Yeah, it's not just a guy going like pathfinding, sees player, and all that. He's like, no, he's trying to role play it horribly. You know, the text bubbles explaining what's going on are actually for like Microsoft's publisher. They're actually, you know, because the publisher is not going to know anything about the game, not going to remember anything about the game. So we got all these texts in here to kind of explain to them what this is, what the system does, how this works, how the player will do that. But I also thought, like, that's kind of cool. In an internal mock-up document sort of way of recording the gameplay and putting those things in the gameplay of like, hey, you know, beta test this, guys. Here's a big sign in the game that says right here, alright, so this thing, when it's live, is going to do this thing here. That's not working right now, so just press on, but just know in this moment you'd see this, or, you know, they kind of, because it's right there in the moment. So instead of reading, like, change logs and notes, you know, it's rolling into the game.
It's less cheesy than trying to explain this stuff over someone's shoulder as they're watching the video.
And yeah, you're not distracting somebody, you're allowing them to play and discover the game naturally, so you get that feedback while directing them a little bit where you need to direct them, because the game is a work in progress. So I found it a fascinating article, basically just kind of like an insight on how they put the game together and how it was working with a publisher. Speaking of publishers, Steam added to Greenlight both a section for software apps, which you could submit software apps before, but there was not a section for it to clearly tell people, no, this is intended to be a software app, because people were getting pissed off when they saw software submitted to Greenlight. This is not a game, I do not want this. And it's like, yeah, but Valve does. So they're clearly marking it over in this other area that you should know when you go into its software. And the other thing that they're doing is they're separating concepts from completed. So they basically, like, these are finished games that just want to be on Steam, and these are concepts of games not yet made. So they're kind of working on that. And hopefully everyone can just collectively relax now.
Yeah.
Like, Valve has proven they are going to make Greenlight work. It was not just a throwaway done and it's horrible and it's awful. They've constantly been iterating and refining this. They're committed to making Greenlight work. So it's good to see that that's still going on. And these changes, I think, are pretty good and will be pretty helpful to getting games on there. Because I think a lot of people will dive into the finished games list. I mean, a lot of people will start there and then back out to the concept because they're like, ooh, I want to play this next week. They also added like another 20-something games. So there's 28 games total now, because they, instead of adding 10 this last round, they added like 20 games, just to get more games approved. So it seems to be working. I mean, they seem to be rapidly adding, it seems like they're going to be good, benevolent dictators. I mean, it's still Valve controlling it. It's still somebody, you know, saying yay or nay arbitrarily, but give them the chance to prove, you know, they will act in bad faith before, you know, judging it. And, you know, the indie game marketplace has proven you don't want, for curation is why Valve and Steam are doing so well.
Yeah.
Curation is why if your indie game gets on Steam, you know, it's party time, you make a lot of money. Because they curate it, and major sites cover the indies that appear on Steam. Right? Giant Bomb is always doing quick looks of interesting indies they see on Steam. You're noticed by the main press. You get out there because our press is lazy, and they're not going to go mining out indie games. Uh-oh, I got a message. Oh, never mind. My gold mine was upgraded to level 5. That's all. That completed. That was like a 3 or 4 hour task. I thought I was being attacked. So that's good. That's good, I think.
Well, it seems like Greenlight is sort of building into either an old style dig or a Reddit style of decision making, which doesn't mean it's going to be completely, I hate to use the word, democratized. Like, it's not going to be a a representative sample
you
of...
don't want, because as indie games have proven, sometimes voting gets manipulated.
Yes. No, I agree, but it's, the power could end up in the hands of, a small number of people, but better it be outside the publisher than inside. But it is interesting, and I think things like the completed versus concept definitely, I want to say that it kind of levels the playing field, so
Right.
that if you actually, can deliver, you get credit for that. Before it was easy to, just scroll through and click on the stuff that looks good, whether or not it's, ready to play or not.
Now, in contrast to just crazy things that dictators do sometimes, Apple refused to put the Terry Kavanaugh, who's VVVVV guy,
Yeah.
refused to put his game in the marketplace because he called free-to-play games nonsense in his description. Basically, he said in the description, this is a completely free game, not a free-to-play game. There are no in-app purchases or any of that nonsense. And Apple said, change that.
And he didn't?
No, he
Did
did.
they say change? Oh,
He did, and then they published it, but it was just kind of
Okay.
interesting in that, like, no, we are making billions of dollars. You shall not point out to people
Thought
that
crime.
the emperor has no clothes. If you want to taste, and it's like a free game, so he did. It wasn't like a story,
or
but
you will go away.
yeah. And again, what I like about it is that they would have said that to EA.
Yeah.
Not that EA would have said that.
But they would have said it to EA. They would have said it to Microsoft, even if they would have
Yeah.
said it to everybody that tried to put it out there.
They could have. I mean, if you've got a popular marketplace...
So my last news item, and then to move into the MDA stuff, this is a horrible fucking titled and written article on Develop that backers left in cold as devs quit Kickstarter project. And they talk about how the devs abandoned the project and all that. What they do not say, this is the game, The Haunts, the Mansmaha or whatever. We
Dead
covered this.
Smoker.
Yes, I remember
And
seeing...
I went back and played what we talked about it, and I said, these guys say they spent $40,000 so far on their game. They have spent years in development, and my comment was, for $40,000 in years in development, they are not showing much gameplay, and that concerns me. And guess what? After another $28,000 and almost a year in development, they're still not done. Now, the developer, and from the old guy, the guy's own story, basically the developer left Google to work on the game, and now he went back to Google. Almost sounds like he took an extended amount of time off by agreement, and now is going back to Google. The article on Develop is horribly written because it's talking about like these developers are abandoning it, and it's not telling him like he's out of money. He cannot pay his staff anymore. So his staff are taking jobs where they get paid. And, they have lives and they're moving on. I'm going to guess that his error was not giving ownership share to the developers. You know? It's like, it sounds like, from the way everything's described, these guys had no stake in the financial success of the game. They were just merely hired guns, and...
If all you are is the idea man, as the owner of the project, yeah, you're highly dependent on other
when
people.
your bankroll runs out, don't be surprised when they leave for an
Yeah.
idea man that has a bankroll.
Or for their own ideas.
Yeah, because he was talking about, well, I thought this guy might do some in his spare time, but he has said in no uncertain terms that he's not going to do anything associated with this project in his free time.
Yeah, you can speculate a lot, but about what's going on behind the scenes,
But I also think this is going to be the first of several.
Oh, yeah.
There's going to be a lot of games that were funded in this $30,000 range that didn't do straight up math. Because one thing he was talking about in his post, on one of his posts, he mentioned he the guy behind the project, the company, the bankroll guy, I don't see his name. He mentioned like, oh well, I haven't completely run out of money, but it's all earmarked to pay in payroll taxes. And it's like, wait a fucking minute, payroll taxes are a known expense. That is not a shock. That is not a surprise. You know, because when somebody said like, "Oh, the IRS is," I've read some comments about how the IRS, you know, should just back off. And I'm like, no, we just did an episode. We just did an episode where you shouldn't be paying taxes on your Kickstarter fund. Oh, wait a minute. You just then turned around to Kickstarter money, hired people as employees. Yeah, you owe employment taxes, and this is not a surprise. This is something that should have been budgeted on. This should not have been like, oh crap, I thought I had 6 months worth of dev time. Turns out I have 4 months worth of dev time because I had to pay taxes and withholding on the employees. Like, yeah, no fucking shit, dude. That's what employees, that's what that means. That's part of what that means to have a company and have employees.
And this may be something that, you know, the whole Kickstarter model has to go through before it can reach whatever maturity and, you know, final state it's going to reach, is the realization that just because it's real people and they're trying to, you know, fund their dream project or whatever, does not mean that it will not be as horribly mismanaged as something that a corporation does.
Correct.
So,
and I think we're going to get more of these.
It is not this magical utopia.
Help a brother out sometimes hurts everyone.
By the way, I'm down to missing just 2,700 projects of Kickstarter's database now. And I pretty much have like 100% of all the successful projects, and I'm missing like 6% of the failed projects, and even less in games. I'm missing only 4% of the game failed projects.
Yeah.
I'm gonna do some crunching when I get some chance, number study. I want to see what the effect of Obsidian and Tim Schafer and all that are. I want to see if there's a boost to all games getting funded around the time that a game that goes multi-million-dollar gets funded. Because I kind of want to see if there's a rising tide lift all boats kind of thing, or if it's a taking away. Because I think we'll see more publishers over time, or large development studios that could get publisher funding use Kickstarter. But I think the numbers might actually show that it helps everyone, because while they're in there backing Tim Schafer, they look around and they back a few more. So don't complain about it. The more of them, the more you'll get paid. But, yeah, and I feel like I can do that now because I'm not missing many of the failed projects. That's kind of the key is, you know, the data set before being biased to the positive, because I was missing like 10% of the failed projects. Now I'm down to only 4%, and I'm getting more, as we go. So, MDA. Did you watch the extra credits video?
I did. I didn't watch it really closely. It didn't, I don't know, like I didn't quite get the concept, so moved on.
No, Stegs is saying, like, I get all these stats to build all these systems, but I can't figure out how to monetize games. I know exactly how to monetize games.
We just haven't done it.
It's the doing it. The idea is the easy part. The implementation.
Are you talking about like an evil free-to-play system?
We outlined one, remember?
Yes, we did.
We did do an iOS game. I think it's still a damn good idea. I think it's really great. Yes. Now we got to execute on it. That's really the valuable piece of the equation.
Execute and not stop halfway through.
It'd be fun if we had a GameMarx fan just like, okay, we're gonna kick you in for 1% of our profits, and we were like,
Stegs
yes!
is talking about like I build all these other things. Like I don't know, Stegs, if you listened to the last podcast, but right now I'm playing with a Raspberry Pi and building a MAME cabinet.
I'm gonna have Digna.
I have been editing and fixing code of other people's games to get it to fix and compile on the Raspberry Pi. So I've been editing code on open source games instead of my own.
That you barely understand, apparently.
Which I barely understand. It's like C++ and shit, and I'm like, I half know what's going on here. I vaguely remember this shit, but C++, like when
that's solid code right there. You vaguely understand.
Last used C++, it was ANSI Draft 3.0, okay? There's whole new shit, like the STL, Standard Template Library, did not fucking exist when I used C++ last. So I'm hacking around a bit and doing all that, but yeah. I admit I have a problem.
We all have problems.
Anyway, this MDA thing is actually going to help me focus back on People Jump, because I'm going to use this to plan out the rest of the game. I'm going to use this approach. MDA is the subtitle here is a formal approach to game design and game research. The game research part, there's a little bit of like, hey, we outline this system for quantifying game design and using good terms to label things and think about these things. And it can also be used to explain the problems and the mechanics of a game. So it'd kind of really be nice for viewers if you guys kind of, like use this system so we could potentially like understand what it is you didn't like about the game and fix it, please. Don't be a dick and tell us why you didn't like the game. And I'm like, yeah, that's not fucking happening. That's not happening. You don't get that luxury. Suck it up. Alright, so there's a big rambling abstract and introduction. This paper was presented at GDC, by the way. This is a GDC 2004 paper, I think. One thing that was cool, they talk about like rapid prototyping, building it, then getting players to play the prototype, and then, evolving the development from there. The one thing they said is that analyzing the end result helps you refine the implementation. Analyzing the implementation helps you refine the end result. Like, it's a cyclical thing. So that's kind of the big thing, is like it's all kind of chained together, it's all kind of connective. Is a little bit of the paradigm shift that they're wanting you to adopt here, is like to understand, like, not only when you play the prototype you learn, about the end product and things like that, but that tells you what went wrong in your game mechanics and system that you need to fix because you did what you wanted in the prototype. But when you're working on the mechanics and the system and the games, that's also telling you about the end product. Okay? That's kind of where they're going.
It's kind of moving from big picture to details back to big picture.
It is exactly that. A lot of that is that. The other thing here that they talk about in the preamble a little bit, this is only a 5-page paper, so I encourage everyone to check it out and read it. Games are consumable goods, okay? They are purchased and used and eventually cast away. The designer creates them, the player consumes them. The difference they have between other forms of entertainment, such as books, music, movies, plays, is that their consumption is relatively unpredictable. The string of events that occur during the gameplay and the outcome those events is unknown at the time the product is finished. So at the time, whether the product means a shipping product or the prototype product, at the time it's done, you don't know how players are going to actually play the game.
Whether they're going to finish it, whether they're going to go on past
versus a movie or a book, you know what they're going to read, you kind of know what they're going to expect.
The consumable part is interesting because I think it is easy to go into game design with this illusion of permanence.
So they establish...
people keep playing it.
3 distinct phases of the game, consumption bits of the game, and kind of their design counterparts, which make up MDA. The phases are basically, or the components are rules, the system, and the fun. So the rules are the actual rules of the game, the system is the rules as a whole, as a set, how they interact with each other, how the rules play off of each other to create the gameplay. So it's like, help me out here with the Magic the Gathering example, but like, you have a rule of like, you play a card, and like the Earth card gives you a number of points, right?
But yeah, the land card gives you mana, which is your resource. The land card
gives you mana, okay? That is a rule. But the system is that allows you to play more cards and devise other plays and all that.
There are other cards that will allow you to get mana in different ways.
The interaction of rules within rules create a system. And then, of course, fun is the fun, the experience of the game. And these get translated into what they call MDA, which is mechanics, dynamics, and aesthetics. So mechanics are the rules, dynamics are the system, and aesthetics is what they're broadcasting fun in. And they put fun into quotes, because fun is an open subjective term that we have to objectify before we can work with it, right? So, mechanics, we kind of broke all these down. But aesthetics and the fun bit are on the desired emotional responses that they want from the player. Each one of these basically is a lens, okay? The content... Alright, let me back up a bit here. They say the fundamental of the framework is the idea that the games are more like artifacts than other media, and by this they mean the content of a game is its behavior, not the media that streams to the player. This is what Extra Credits was focusing on. We define genre based upon the looks and the rules, the mechanics, but really it's the behaviors that define the game. The reason we know Portal is a puzzle game and not a first-person shooter is the behavior, not the fact that it has a gun and it's played in the first person. Okay? So, that's that key. I think we've hit on this in the past, of like, talk about the user's experience. What do you want the player to experience? What feelings do you want them to have? That's what you're designing. This is why, when we talked about, killing Captain Dubstep and all that, this is what I felt we didn't have. We didn't have a solid picture of what we wanted to experience, the player's experience. We just had a joke, and that's why we were all over the map, because we didn't have a guiding principle designing that game of like, this is the experience we are going for. Yeah,
I think in some sense, I don't want to say we had a vague idea, or at least I had a vague idea, but it wasn't something you could build up to. Like it required you to have, high level of music, highly synchronized music, lots of action.
Well, no. So the thing is that what you have done is segues beautiful into each block as a lens. So look at the game through mechanics, look at the eyes of the game through dynamics, look at the eyes of the game through aesthetics.
Yeah.
To get different perspectives on it. But traditionally, a designer is going to favor approaching the game from the mechanics because you have to write the mechanics to build the game.
Right.
So when you're talking about the music and the dynamics of the music and all that, you're talking about these mechanics and some dynamics, but the player's coming at it from the opposite end. They come into it through the aesthetics to learn the systems and the dynamics to learn the mechanics. So your disconnect between the player and the designer becomes from these two approaches, right?
Yeah, actually, that's how that's maybe what I would say. Like, I think we had the vague idea was kind of this overall aesthetic, but we couldn't break that down into,
I would say no, because we're going to define aesthetics here in a second. Okay, we're going to get a better definition on that. I think we stopped at dynamics. I think we had some mechanics, and we had some dynamics of play. We had some system working, but we didn't have the aesthetic piece. And so aesthetics are going to define the fun, and the 8 that they defined, and Extra Credits had issues with definitions on some of these. I'm going to just take them as they are on the paper. But I think Extra Credits made some valid points. First one is sensation. So game as sense pleasure. Game as experience. Game as art. Game as, flower. Beautiful graphics. Sensation is a big part of Limbo. Okay? The art style plays a pivotal role. Did you play Machinarium?
No.
Okay.
I haven't played that or Limbo.
The aesthetics of that play a big part of that. Audio Surf is a sensation game. The music aesthetic of that is a big part of why you play that game. Okay? Fantasy, number 2 here. Fantasy is role-playing. Being able to play something you're not. I'm not a wizard, so I get to play a wizard. I'm not a marine stationed in Desert Storm. But, in whatever first-person shooter, I get to play that fantasy out. So, that is a reason somebody plays a game, for fantasy. Narrative, obviously, the story of the game. People play games for story. Challenge of the game. So, play the game becomes difficulty. And this could be anything for the challenge. Like, within these, you could start breaking them down of, like, how you're meeting that one. And so, like, challenge could be puzzle. Could be 2D puzzle space solving. Could be spatial problem solving. Challenge could be bullet hell shooter.
Could be sheer persistence of finding all the feathers.
No, that's a different category.
I find it.
That's not a challenge.
It's a challenge to me.
so challenge is a difficulty, a problem to solve, skills to gain. Number 5 is fellowship. So that's multiplayer. Because really, when you're playing together, it's to play with friends. So multiplayer, playing together, competing with friends. Although it could just be a leaderboard. It could be as simple as high scoreboards and, if you're playing a bullet hell shooter, like a lot of people play Decimation X3 to place in that leaderboard. And there's a fellowship component to why people are playing that game and enjoying that game, even though the game doesn't have multiplayer in it. What you were talking about with the feathers is discovery. That is exploring the world, finding the things in the world. It's Minecraft, just finding things out, discovering that. But it also is JRPGs. Discovery is a big part of JRPG. Discovery is a big part of Skyrim, of just what's over here.
That could be discovery as in new game mechanics or as in content.
Ooh, shiny!
Right. Yeah, exactly. So, expression, self-expression by the gamer. This could be dressing up my avatar. It could be building my hanging Asian garden in Minecraft for 96 hours of gameplay, or more.
You've
it could be doing that.
seen my castle!
But this also covers character advancement and leveling up, because that is a form of expression as well. I think that's a good one. I like that, unlocking that and understanding that, of that actually is self-expression. I like talking about how I spec my character, how I max them in and all that. That is me. That is my shepherd. I have spec'd them that way, even though the UI, the visual customization is not much, right, in Mass Effect. Once I've kind of set it, whatever.
And that can be a combination of several different elements,
right,
even depending on how you come at the game.
And the final reason is, this is the one that Extra Credits didn't like the name of, but it's called submission. It makes sense when you realize it's submission, not a domination thing. It's a submission to the game and giving up any kind of active thought. So this is mining in Minecraft. This is spending an hour just mining. Just digging for diamonds. That's all I'm doing. This is grinding in a JRPG, right? This is the reason why you play the game, right? This is that escapism. This is just that I don't want to think right now, okay? I just want to fire up this thing, and this is why I play Contra at this point. At this point, Contra is no challenge to me. It is submission. It is just, I want to mindlessly play this game again and kind of relive this game. So that's what these form. These form, under the broad label of fun, but they are really the reasons why you would play this game, and that they combine. So, charades would be a combination of fellowship, expression, and challenge, right? So it's fellowship, and that's a group game. It's expression, and that's how I choose to draw the items, and this is my artistic ability and all that. And it's a challenge in guessing the games. Quake would be challenge, sensation, competition, and fantasy, right? Again, it's a difficult game. It's hard, get the rail shooter and the guns down and all that. Sensation is a big part of it. It's got a lot of jump scares going on in Quake, and look at the crazy monsters, especially for the time of game, the time that it came out in. Online competition, big one right there. You know what? They don't actually call out competition as a separate... They put it down there. This is why I think Extra Credits called out competition as one. That could be under fellowship, but I think they called it out as a separate one.
Guess it's the difference between co-op and competition.
Although it could fit under fellowship. And fantasy. Quake is a bit of fantasy, being a space marine, that kind of thing. The Sims, discovery, fantasy, expression, narrative. And Final Fantasy, fantasy, narrative, expression, discovery, challenge, submission. There's a lot wrapped up in the Final Fantasy. It's a huge game. So, you can, have many, you can have a few. And once you have that, you can, they say, using their aesthetic vocabulary, like a compass, you can define the models of gameplay, basically. You can figure out, hey, okay, what do I want the players to be doing? What is the behavior of a challenge, right? What do I want them to be challenged? What is the right behavior I should see of my beta testers if I want a self-expression game? You know, like these are the things I'm putting in that the goal is to be used for self-expression. That they would play this because it allows them to self-express. And when they're not doing it, then I know I have problems. So you work backwards from like, what are they experiencing? Okay, well the dynamics, the systems influence the aesthetics. They influence those 8 categories, right? And you kind of look at those and you say, all right, well this isn't working. So let's make the systems encourage or stop punishing what we're after. And then, of course, you actually make those changes by changes in mechanics, right? The base level mechanics that form the system. And also, you can use a bit of this to do some kind of measurements, too, right? So, using Monopoly as an example, here is a mechanics and aesthetics to measure of basically like the length of time of the gameplay. This is more of a dynamics measure, not really an aesthetics one. But, so you have a dynamic system, you want a game to last a certain amount of thing. Well, you could figure out, since you have 2 dice, the probability of any roll coming up, what the average is going to be, and how long it's going to take the average player to move around the board, and extrapolate from that how many turns, how many board trips it's going to take to complete a game, and figure out the time. And then you can use that to go back and modify the system. And then you modify the mechanics. And so you have a really concrete way of checking the dynamics, the things that you can do on a turn, how long it takes a person to do a turn, all these little mechanics come together to form the dynamic of how long it takes to play a game. And you can say, well, it's taking too long. So let's look at the mechanics and figure out which ones can I get rid of because they're not really supporting the overall goal and refine those, right? They also do a good job of using Monopoly for an example of failure in the aesthetics level. So a problem that happens in Monopoly is that at some point during the middle of the game, 1 or 2, many times 1, sometimes 2 players, amass the majority of the wealth. They have the monopoly. And all the other players are now disengaged from the game. They don't care. They're just rolling the dice and wandering on the screen, but they have no chance of winning the game, and they've lost the game. So if we hold that up as a failure condition, we hold that up as a non-desired outcome, we say that's a problem of our game, it's possible you would say, well, the game is about monopolies, and that's a monopoly, and that's what it is. They have a great line here, like, reality isn't always fun, Yeah. I would hate changing that, because I'm usually the guy that's got the big thing and who's being a dick. Now,
Yes, you don't want to ruin that part of the experience.
I'm a slumlord, okay, and I get to live out that. That's fantasy for me.
I usually got the...
You're okay with losing if it means you can also, like when you win,
it's
you can
not
be
winning unless somebody else is losing.
Exactly.
Yeah. So, fantasy is a reason that I play Monopoly. I get to live out the slumlord fantasy.
Wow, it's...
So, what we can do, is use this here and make several passes at a game and see of ways to fix it, right? So we might consider taxing the rich players, or giving subsidies to the poor players, or adding free parking, which is something people do commonly, to make an element of chance that can get you back in the game, so that the players stay engaged throughout the rest of the game.
Yeah, because we put bankrupt properties on free parking.
Yeah, a lot of people modify the rules of Monopoly to address this problem. I hate it. I actually hate it. I hate the random element. I'm like, no, I have won. You shall now... And, the way I always end a Monopoly game, like when you're going down, like, oh, yeah, you can't pay me, can you? Look, we could mortgage or something up, but how about, why don't you just give me, say, that property and that property, and call it even. And then you get to go around like 2 more turns as a walking zombie, but my satisfaction is extended another turn. Rather than you just saying, nope, I will just go out. I will mortgage everything and go out. I'm a stickler for the rules.
What do you do when you lose?
I have not really lost that many Monopoly games. And usually when I do, it's to somebody else who's at that level. And I'm usually a stickler. See, the thing is I don't get to play many Monopoly games. Once I've played somebody once or twice, they don't want to play with me anymore. And I'm a stickler for, like, the rules. Like, there's a rule, if I mortgage a property, and then you sell or trade that mortgage property, you have to pay 10%, okay, anytime a mortgage property changes hands to the bank. Not the fucking free parking, although usually I allow the free parking rule because nobody will play Monopoly without free parking. And they've actually added that as an official option to the rules now. Fine, whatever, fuckers. Anyway, you can also use this. They give a good example in the paper of using it for design, not just debugging, but planning the game. So say you're told to make a babysitter game, okay? And your task is to write the AI for when the babysitter, the AI of the babysitter, and the babies, when they play tag. They're going to play like a hide-and-seek tag game in this babysitter game, okay? So the questions you start to ask is, what is the aesthetic goals? Right? And this is kind of like also target demographics. What are we, trying to market here? But like, if you're looking at like, we're marketing this to a younger audience, then exploration and discovery are probably more important than challenge, right? So that they can explore the game and they can, find things and maybe customization. So maybe that plays into it. These are more important here. So you don't want to emphasize dynamics of winning in competition, right? And probably want to have like more visceral, like we want expressive babies to have surprise and fear and anticipation of being spotted. And your AI, your actual mechanics now that you would get down to from this, you would probably say, all right, well, hiding places could be manually coded. Paths between them could be hard-coded, so I can entirely cheat the AI on this, because we're just faking an experience, for the babies. And then more mechanics for, like, when the babysitter finds the babies, she can say, jump out like, I see you, or peekaboo, and do things like that. Would probably be, what you would do. On an alternate version, same game, but they say like, hey, no, we have the Rugrats license, so we're gonna target kids who watch Rugrats. And so you kind of come up with like, hey, narrative is important now, and should be a little bit more challenging. So your dynamics here, and these kids are probably 7 to 12 years old now. I do hate how they say 7 to 12-year-old girls. I do hate how they there's a gender bias in these levels.
Yeah.
The narrative should be involved, and to get that, the game should feel more challenging. So some dynamics basically requiring levels to persist through that unlock new pieces of the story and related tasks. So dynamics, the player could track and interact with several characters at once, because they are the Rugrats characters, right? You probably do want to see them all. Add in some time pressure, get them to bed before 9 p.m. Some other pressure, add like a mess factor, right? So everything's got to be clean, no dirty diapers, no crying loses you points, those kind of things and all that. And for your implementation, your mechanics in the AI, static paths aren't going to work anymore, and probably good to have the babies choose their own hiding places. So they'll need their own individual characteristics and abilities that probably should be representative of the characters.
Yeah.
And what would that mean? And then how would they expose those to the player? How would the player know that Chucky and the little kid with the glasses?
Chucky did have the glasses. He was the redhead.
Oh, Chucky was the dirty kid. Who was the baby then? Who was the main character?
Tommy.
Tommy. Yeah, that Chucky and Tommy hide together, and that Chucky kind of does whatever Tommy wants him to do, and all of that. So you'd have to figure that out as well. And And, how are you going to track internal state? How are they going to explore the world? How is the AI going to know the state of the world, the other babies, the players, right? So by coming at it from this other world, now you have a good starting place of like, okay, these are the things I need to work on. And this is going to shape how my game's going to be laid out and how I'm going to, handle these base mechanics. The third pass they give, same example, but full-blown strategic game targeting 14 to 35-year-old males. Again, I hated the gender bias that they put in here. Aesthetic goals should include a fantasy element, role-playing the spy hunter, military elite, or loot-seeking rogue. Challenge can border on submission, basically grinding. Their full plot of intrigue and suspense. Player will expect coordinated activity between the opponents. Lot less emotional expression, though. Basically, at this level, the players kind of want to learn the system, right? The players are in it to learn the system of the game, that discovery of that. So, dynamics might include the ability to earn or purchase powerful weapons, spy equipment, develop tactics, stealth movement, deception behavior, evasion, escape, mechanics. For this, tech trees, variety of enemy units and types, levels of areas that vary, and ranges of mobility, field of view, etc., those kind of things. Your AI agents in this space, in addition to coordination, would need a wide range of sensory data input into what's going on, some logic and reasoning, and some indication of chance of success for outcome. And then basically, are they going to be able to pass over terrain the player can't? Will they cheat in other ways, or will it be realistic, and all of that. So, you could see just based upon like how defining that at the onset shapes three entirely different games. But what could it very easily been from the same premise of like, hey, let's make a babysitting game. A game where you play a babysitter. Oh, that's funny. Yeah, let's do this, this, and this. And you start coding away. So that's what I thought was pretty good about this paper. I think it's a pretty valuable approach to that. And like I said, I think I'm going to give that a shot in the layout. People jump a little bit. And kind of use that to write out a bit of a game design doc, what we're going after, and then trickle down. Because I'm kind of at a point where I am kind of lost. Like, I'm implementing mechanics blindly right now.
Yeah.
On the assumption, well, I know I'm going to need to collect stuff. Collect stuffing will be important. But I have no guiding reason other than I know platformers collect stuff. Now, this is not 100% bad because I am just kind of making a run-of-the-mill platformer. Like, I'm not trying to be crazy big awesome with this game. Just want to ship one, get one done, get one out there, using Xtiled. Put a page up on Xtiled that says, the games that have shipped, the game that I made. Haha, there you go. On there, so it's not 100% bad, but it will help, like, scope out the game and that, so.
Yeah. And like I said, I think our problem with Captain Dubstep was actually, you make a good point, on both sides. Like, I think we wanted a game where the character, the player could explore, where they were kind of drawn into, the music, syncing up, where they had to kind of figure out what the weapons did and what they were supposed to do next. And we hit some of those with the mechanics, like in the level design and stuff like that. But in other ways, like you said, we just threw a bunch of mechanics together that seemed like it should add up to that. And like there was a disconnect, I guess maybe in the dynamics, like somewhere between the two.
So, I haven't decided on the Kickstarter thing. I think we got 2 votes against, 1 vote for keeping it. I think what I may do is flip it around and just do a rundown of the successful ones. Instead of trying to pick out which ones would be successful, evaluate and watch them all. It's becoming a chore. And, I need to spend time. If I'm going to build a main cabinet and build a game, something has to give here, right?
You're going to enjoy...
You can have 2 of the 3.
You're going to enjoy that MAME cabinet far more than you are
Yeah.
a list of Kickstarters that many of them are just going to make you sad every week.
But to fill in for this week, I figured I would live on the show do a bunch of questions on XNA. So the XNA forums, the XNA framework, the XNA technology forum gets a ton of posts to it. So much so that I don't read all the posts in there, and I read all the posts and all the rest of the forums. Not all the replies, but all the main posts. And then I follow the threads that interest me. And I was thinking I should answer these live on the fly and just save the MVP some work. Save some people some work here. So here we go. I'm going to jump through, rapid answer a bunch of questions that were asked on the XNA forums. First one up. XNA Remote Performance Monitor. Boxed value types and manage objects allocated. Yes, that does happen. Next question. Weird bullet behavior. That does happen sometimes. Just reboot the computer and it should clear it up.
Have you tried cutting it
No
off?
SQL and or SQL database support, or both in Xbox indie games and in XNA code. Lists of currently working tests as you go in implementations. Stop right there. You have no idea what the fuck you're even trying to do. Please step away from the keyboard. Uninstall XNA. Thank you for playing. Xbox 360 or Windows? No. XNA, software keyboard help. No, it does not help. Stick with hardware keyboards. Introducing Engine 9 1.4. No, that's just a shitty name right there. It is the Engine 9 version 1.4. It is Engine 1.4 of the 9th engine. I don't know what the hell is going on. I'm filing out a support ticket and uninstalling your game. Generate a normal map from a texture. Yes, you can do that. Release compiler error in ship game for XNA 4.0. You know what you should have done? Not ship the game with the error. Object reference not set to the instance of an object error. That's all of them, dude. That's all the fucking errors, okay?
It happens a lot.
All the time. Some more detail, please. What is the process of 3D game development for XNA? Well, first you have a mama XNA and you have a father XNA. And when a mama XNA and a father XNA love each other very, very much, and then they do some kinky shit in multiple positions, you get a 3D game. But if they kind of just do missionary, then you get a 2D game. See Baby Maker Extreme for an example and a detailed explanation of that. Extracting a 3D model's texture. You don't have to extract shit, it's a separate file. A few dozen avatars. A fucking few dozen more, man. Why stop there?
You can just call like a random call.
You can just randomly generate them.
Millions of avatars.
The more avatars, the more sales. Okay.
How many avatars can you cram into Xbox 360 memory before you get an out of memory error?
All of
the world may never know.
How many avatars fit on the head of a pin? These questions cannot be answered.
Well, they can be. Someone needs to test that.
Menus. Fuck yeah. Making an open dialogue. No, closed dialogues are the way to go. Open dialogues are out.
Maybe that's a file open dialogue.
SMAA for XNA. Too many fucking anchored acronyms. Disqualified. Deferred rendering and spotlight issues. Well, there's your problem. Stop deferring the rendering so you can see your spotlights. Problem passing a parameter using ref. Okay? Stop doing it then. Don't pass it using ref. Xbox copy of a project won't update library. Now this is actually quite a, common property. Just fucking rebuild all and make sure your solution's working. There you go. Render single pixel for stars. Sounds highly inefficient, but go ahead. Application won't start. Fix it. Car racing 2D road pseudo 3D implementation in XNA. Congratulations on creating Outrun. Welcome to 1982. Splitting code between multiple CS files. Don't ever do that. It hurts performance. Put it all in one file and it will run faster. Sample shooter XNA? No. I don't like any sampler platters. 2D camera help. Stop using cameras in 2D. You don't need them. View enemy at specific locations. That is the best way to view enemies, in my position, is at specific locations.
Instead of generalized locations, I guess.
Yeah, they're all over the locations, or not in those specific, just there randomly.
There's an array of locations where they might possibly be.
Can anyone suggest helpful resources and tutorials? GameMarx.com. Subscribe to the podcast and listen to this segment.
I like that you have found a way you can respond, you can troll a forum without the moderators stopping you. In fact, while the moderators are just listening, helpless to do anything about it.
And probably agreeing with the majority of it.
The guide is slow. Well, get a better guide. When you start off on a journey, hiking in the Himalayas,
Don't
make
get
sure...
the 98-year-old men unless you really want to get the right place.
And also, check the health of the donkey. Check the teeth, grab the balls, turn and cough, okay? Make sure the donkey is fit so that you've got a relatively speedy guide. You get what you pay for. You get what you pay for in guides. How can I get my current directory in the Xbox? You can't, there is none. Testing a game without a memory unit. Is this even necessary using Nick's Easy Storage? No.
What?
That's why it's called Easy Storage. I don't know how to use is trial mode.
It's a Boolean flag.
There you go. Is the real memory cost of textures, render targets, and depth cost? Would they please stand up? Is that what you're saying? And they put one finger on each hand up, and I
don't know.
Guess what? They cost, and it's real, motherfucker. Building content throws null reference exception.
So do a lot of things.
Yeah, again, all the time, dude. Sprite font download?
No.
No.
Maybe.
No.
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 No, that's not how it works.
Where would you download it from?
Exactly.
Where would you download it from? The internet? No.
Feedback on a new 2D game. It's
People
not bad.
will give it to you.
It's not bad.
Sometimes.
It's not bad. I liked it. The new 2D game, I thought it was pretty good. I could, do some improvement here, but it's a beta, so I'm with it.
I was hoping for 2.5D.
Need me a tutorial. I need me a Guinness. I'll not get a Guinness tonight. Map format for a 2D racing game. One with a line is good, I think. I think having a path, and then on top of that,
Whatever
a
works.
racetrack.
Really, whatever works.
If the
for
line
you.
makes a racetrack, I think you're hitting on all cylinders. To have a little pun there. How can I animate a 2D sprite with a 2x2 sprite sheet? You move it really fast. Like a flip book. Double machine gun in a shoot 'em up. It's been done.
Been done, yeah.
Move on. FBX models to GibLibX. Stop using that shit. Just stop using FBX models. Stop using GigLibX. Go get 3D Studio Max. It's about $3,500 and use real stuff because I don't know what you're doing. Why Deuce? D-O-U-S. You know what? These are the Venom posts blacklisted from the segment. X&A, and I think he's been blacklisted from the forums. Like, he posts a lot of shit. X&A and Silverlight for PC. Not anymore. Welcome to Windows 8. Video streaming into a Windows Xbox app. You're not allowed to do it. Quit asking. FPS starter kit. Sure, why not? Make one. Finally, making two 3D objects face each other. Well, the thing is, if they've been fighting the night before, okay, you have to work through those issues and get them to come to a mutual agreement to discuss the matter openly. Remember, talk to the problem, not to the person.
Alternatively, angle and angle plus math.py.
ATAN 2. That's the seventh habit. The seven successful habits. The seventh habit is ATAN 2. There we go. So
I'm assuming they're already
MVPs.
One's already
you can
facing
send
the
your
other, I
thanks
guess.
to podcast at GameMarx.com.
Or
I think
your
I just
ire.
answered about 40 questions on the forums for you.
Ire is acceptable.
We'll maybe I don't know how to do this again.
No. At
It
some
was
point,
funny once, but it'll probably be bad multiple times.
All right. Thank you, everyone, for tuning into the live show. Those who watch us on YouTube and those who download the audio podcast. We will not be back next week. Next week, we will all be at the, what's it stand for? Game Media Expo?
Geek Media
Expo in Nashville. So if you're going to GMX in Nashville next week and you see us, say hi. Do not make physical contact. I'm not okay with that. And you probably have like some weird con flu bug thing happening that I'm going to try to avoid.
I shall have Purell.
Yeah. So
Glompers will be punched.
Elbow bumps only, and only through clothing on both sides. Your elbow must be clothed, and my elbow must be clothed. If that's true, we can do a little elbow nudge, and that'll be good. But
if I like you, I might do the French air kiss to the sides, but that's about it.
That's not happening. That's a
weird,
personal
man.
space invasion issue. Yeah. There's a porn actress ethics conference, right?
I think we had this discussion on the podcast.
Done that. Yeah.
Yeah. So, no, we're going to stay out of personal spaces like that. We don't know where people have been. Dylan has a panel up against the porn star.
I believe so. It is.
That's not the name of the panel or the content.
No, it's actually about. It's actually about what went into developing Captain Dubstep, and also why it failed.
What went into development, and what came back out of and into again, and the cycle.
Death and rebirth, and winning and losing, and
thrusting into development.
Just because, hey, I'm also up against a Monty Python
Flexibility
panel
is key,
and a Harry Potter panel at 12 midnight on a Saturday. I don't know why they did that, but
I have no idea why your panel's at midnight. Nobody's gonna give a shit about developing Xbox Live indie games at midnight unless they're drunk.
And then they won't remember.
And I will be there probably drunk.
Oh gosh. Well, I assume if it's late, you're probably better off. You can use choice language. I'm not sure what you will.
I may have my daughters because they're coming.
Yes.
So that's the thing. Like, I don't know if they'll be able to get in because they have the whole After Dark thing and they do the whole.
I don't think it's an 18+ panel. I'd actually.
I thought they were going to do that for the whole con. Like, you couldn't even get on the floor.
No,
per panel.
No, they don't tend to do that, but you will probably want. I don't know. It depends on how things are set up this year.
Stags, this is how we do conferences in Tennessee. That's what we do. Harry Potter, porn stars, and X9 development. This
is kind of like trying to be like a mini Dragon Con type of thing. So there you go.
All right. So we'll be back in a couple weeks. Thank you everyone for listening.